I've witnessed it on several occasions with different churches, and even some of the clients that I work with have moved into transition in that manner. And so I've got to witness it firsthand. But your statement is so true that there you have to be settled in your shoes. And I think that's not always the case for everybody. It's a process to work on. I think even prior to transition, hopefully the Lord is moving people to a process of working on that and removing those insecurities.
Well, and I think one of the things is, if we're not careful, we view and maybe conflate leadership with position.
Yeah.
And so if we don't have a position, we don't think we're leading.
Mm-hmm.
And so, especially in the case of through that transitionary period, you're not the senior leader, so are you anything? Because we don't think influence can happen unless we have the position. And man, the moment they change the placard on the desk, all of a sudden I have a ministry, And so the danger that I see in that is and now I'm talking to myself futuristically, I want to remember this when I get to this point in transition, that my ministry is not tied to my position.
Yes.
I had a ministry before I had a position.
Say that a little bit louder and again.
My ministry is not tied to my position.
Yeah.
And, that rolls off the tongue so smooth, but if we're not careful, and I think something that's lost on us is that the man that saved Egypt was second in command. You do not have to be in that first position, senior position, to make an impact and to make a difference.
I'm so glad you said that. And Daniel, when I settled into my shoes, into the fact that I was not built to be a senior pastor. My giftings are so much better used in the context of an organizational style church behind the scenes.
Yes.
And when I settled on that, it was huge for me. It was life-changing for me. And you're right. Calling, I can live out my calling in a lot of different ways. I could go be a senior pastor.
Sure.
But I could also stay as an assistant pastor and utilize the gifts in a much greater way.
Maximize your influence.
This is not exactly what we're talking about here today, but I think it's a great point that our calling is not necessarily tied to our position.
Right.
Love that.
And so here's what I think happens, and this could be a discussion of its own, but I understand in the local church that the pastoral role is elevated over maybe the other four fingers of the fivefold ministry.
Sure.
Yet in ministry, who says that trumps any other role of apostolic ministry? So that in my opinion, that unhealthy view of ministry has men aspiring to be a pastor when maybe they're a teacher, maybe they're an evangelist, and so it has people aspiring to it that shouldn't be there, and it has people staying there that should be moving on from it, because the moment that they relinquish that position, they think they're nothing.
Yeah.
And so that affects transition.
Absolutely.
Because the guy that's coming in thinks he's nothing, and the guy that's there thinks, I can't let it go because I'll be nothing.
Yeah. I love, this is subtle. I don't even know if you purposely did this, but in your bio, when I asked for a bio from you, you said that you lead a team of pastors, teachers, and leaders across multiple campuses.
Mm-hmm.
It's subtle, but it's like you made sure to elevate the teachers and the leaders maybe not to the level of pastors. Maybe there is a difference.
Sure.
I don't feel I respect authority by all means.
Sure.
But
Sure.
I don't feel like I'm above. I'm a pastor at POA. I don't feel like I'm above any ministry leader that I lead. I may be
Sure.
above in position, but as far as we're mutual adults, and we have callings to increase the kingdom of God.
Right.
And we're all working together to do that. But I love the way that you put an emphasis in your bio even on leaders and teachers. Such an important thing.
Well, that's another whole avenue of the discussion. But let me just say this real quickly to that. I think that anointed leadership and appointed leadership is something that's not talked about enough either. And appointed leadership, the 70 were appointed.
Mm-hmm.
And they played as much a role in turning the world upside down as the anointed did. And I think part of the problem is we tend to elevate the anointed. And I'm not speaking down on that. That's necessary, and it has its position.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But man, you cannot accomplish the fullness of the kingdom of God without the appointed leader.